Yo, peace, fam. What's good, everybody? It's your number one Chief Rocker in the building. Salute. Yo, I got so we have a hot topic. I got my homeboy, Alawaz, in the building. He backstage. So I'm just gonna read something real quick, to everybody. Just bear with me. So welcome to another build session right here on Vibes and Stuff, where the culture breathes, the minds connect, and the truth gets unpacked layer by layer. Of course, y'all know me, the number one Chief Rocker, the host, Uncle Freezie. As always, I got my brother and comrade in clarity, Wise, riding shotgun with me tonight. So listen, tonight ain't your average YouTube back and forth. This ain't no shouting match or clickbait circus. What we got here is something rare in tonight's world of a real conversation between two brothers representing two powerful worldviews, the nation of gods and earths and Christianity. See, in our communities, both of these schools of thought have shaped minds, lifted spirits, sparked movements, had great debates, but too often we talk at each other and not with each other. Tonight we're gonna flip the script. We're gonna build on God, self, history, and what it means to walk in truth as Black men in this world. Right? Some supreme mathematics versus the Holy Bible, 120 lessons versus scripture, and maybe, just maybe, we can find some gems that connect us more than divide us. This ain't about converting. So I'm not trying to convert anybody and not trying to convince anybody. This is about understanding, respect, leveling up, dialogue, whatsoever, back and forth between two people that really hold these two views close to the heart. So wherever you're tuning in from, whether you're in the cipher, in the pews, or just searching, grab your notebooks, open your mind, and let's build. Because over here is always love, always knowledge, and that's how we rock on Vibes and Stuff. Wise, what's good, bro?
Everything is real. You already know.
Yeah,
I'm ready
man.
to go.
Yeah, man. So a lot of people ask me what Christianity is, right? Like what is Christianity? And to me, it's a simple question. It's a simple question, and it's a simple answer, right? It's a simple question, it's a simple answer, right? Christianity is about being a follower of the Christ. That's what it is. Yo, Fritz Alcindor is in the building. Fritz, yo, we sent the link, man. Yo, Wise. Yo, the preacher is in the building. He ain't clicked the link. You know, it's the preacher that ain't clicked the link, right?
Wow.
I'm just saying.
What, Fritz?
Yo, I'm messing with my man, but yeah. So this thing with Christianity, man, I hold it near, and it is the most important thing in my life, right? Christianity is. It's the most important thing in my life, right? So what is what's your belief system?
Well, first things first, it's not about belief with me. It's more about knowing than belief. So
Right.
I base my life on things that we could see and understand, not just see with our eyes, but things that we could calculate and things that we could actually make happen or see happening. So it's not so much of a belief. Like, I understand the word belief and how it could be taken in different ways, but I like to be more specific and use know instead of belief, because it's very much different in my estimation.
Okay.
So that's what I deal with. I deal with knowing.
All right. All
If
right.
I don't know it, I don't really advocate it.
Mhm. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, kind of. You know what I mean? Because you gotta have some kind of belief system to look into something. You gotta have a want to know. So you might have a belief thinking that something works one way until you find out it works another way. Or your belief might have been right all the time. But the point is, you don't know until you know. So belief believing that you on your way to Jersey City is one thing, but you know when you read the sign and it's telling you that you on your way to Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. Okay. See, so we differ a little bit right there because when I was young, I was taught that if you believe everything, every path is available to heaven. I think that's the way the scripture go. If you believe all things are possible to him that believeth, right? That's we differ just a little bit, right? I'm taught like Christians are taught to be true believers, right? And it's only one way, and it's one way to believe, and that's to be convicted, to understand your place and understand his place and understand the path to him is through believing and following. I think my man Wise had a little difficulty, little he might have. Yeah, yeah, I know when we do this thing on the telephone on our telephone sometimes, like a telephone call will come through and it'll disrupt us. So just be patient with me for a little bit as we get back to it. But while we do that though, there are some scriptures in the Holy Bible that just lay out the path of belief right before us, like John 3:16 that says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life." Right, and then there's Romans Road. There's a verse in Romans um, that if shall confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus and shall believe in thine heart that God hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. And so for us, believing is a significant part of the way. Let me see. I'm gonna hit up Wise real quick to see. There he is. What's up, boss? Everything all right?
There I
Check,
go.
check. Okay.
My bad.
Okay.
I don't know
No,
what happened real quick, but it knocked me off.
oh. Yeah, so believing for Christians is super heavy, bro. Like you gotta believe in your heart and confess with your tongue in order to be seen the way. That's just a part of it. Right. And so the thing about Christians in knowing is that the more you know, the higher standard you'll be held to. I think that's the way it goes. Fritz, if Fritz is in the chat, is that the way it go, Fritz? The more you know, the higher standard you'll be judged by. Is that how? I think that's how it goes.
I
Um,
mean, that's the way
I'm
I
not. I'm
got
not a
it.
teacher though, but
The more that you know, the more that's required from you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the main thing is that you deal in equality with your knowledge and that you share it so that you're not able to dominate over others that don't have it. You know what I'm saying? That everybody has the same opportunity to come together and help. Like the same way I share with you, you share with me. So we come up together.
Right.
And not only do we come up together, but our children come up together and they see us coming up together. And this creates a different type of longevity. You know what I'm saying? From the longevity that we seeing now, where we look at generations negatively instead of positively, how things are getting better for us. You know what I mean? It seems
Right.
like we talk about generations like time is going backwards instead of forward. So, I mean, I think it starts with a mindset, and it starts with, I mean, I want to get a more clearer understanding on how you was explaining and breaking down your view on belief. But I think that when you could show something, show people what you know, it gives them more footing or something to stand on. Because when they see how you do it, they can pattern themselves behind it. But
Right.
when you tell somebody to just believe, or you gotta believe, and you don't give a real example that they could see, touch, smell, hear, you know what I'm saying, or taste, then it's like, what are you really showing me? So, I think it's easy to follow when you don't want to invest time in searching for answers for yourself. And I think that's where people say they have belief systems, they come in. Like, I recently was hearing somebody was wondering, they say, when we cut our hand for Thanksgiving, they cut the butt off of both sides, right? So the husband, he married into the family, and he was like, why y'all do that? So the wife said, I don't know, I just picked it up from my mom's. But every time she did it, it was good. So he said, all right. So then when they saw the moms, they asked the moms. She said she did it because her grandmother did it. They asked the grandmother. The grandmother said she did it because when she used to make the ham, the oven was so small that they had to cut the butt off.
Right.
So they thought they was carrying on a real tradition. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But
Right.
the only reason she did it was because her stove was so small. Like, she didn't really want to cut it off. So
Right.
I'm saying that's like a belief system, or carrying a tradition when you don't really have the knowledge on why people did certain things. So it'll have you teaching people something, and they just continually not knowing why they do it. It'll perpetuate emotion. And if you perpetuate that way of thinking, what is that going to breed?
Right. Yeah. Not us though. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm just
Yeah.
speaking
No.
just in general.
Yeah. No. Yeah. See, because the thing about tradition and belief is that we're commanded to believe in order to get closer to God, and tradition is a man-made construct. So that's just that's just where we traditions, man. It's traditions. People in New York wear Yankees caps and Timberland boots together. It's like if you have Timberland boots and you from the city, you probably got a Yankees fitted somewhere. That's
Yeah,
just, and it's like a
it's
tradition.
tradition.
It's like yeah, but that ain't in no. That's not in the Holy Quran or the Holy Bible nowhere. But you see it every day, right? So
Yeah,
that's one of the things I wanted to mention. Wanted to I want to speak to a misnomer to my brothers of the Islamic faith, right? one of the things I noticed is that there is a level of fear mongering with our Muslim brothers. It's like we have this mindset that they are super strict and super violent, and that's ingrained in their culture, right? And so I want to be one of the first to just say it publicly. I don't know if somebody else said it before me. I don't know, and so I'm not going to speak to that. But I want to say, man, generally, generally, most people want to be or have some level of peace somewhere. And I know peace can be described in a lot of different ways. But for the most part, just wanted to say that. How do you view other religions? How do you review how do you view religion in the first place?
Well, I look at it simple because I began to try to understand religion from a child because I'm not from a religious background.
Right.
So, but everywhere you go, people were talking about God in one way, form, or fashion. So just as a curious child, you want to know. So
Right.
you might go spend a night at your grandmother's house and she like, you gotta get up and go to church on Sunday. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? But when you get there, it's a different experience. So you trying to understand and see if it's something in it for you. So I was
Right.
always curious about it. And my view on other religions and cultures is people mostly do what they feel. I don't really have a particular view on religion because I don't deal with it.
Right.
So my thing is that if it makes a person feel good and do better for themselves, then they probably should keep doing it.
Right.
However, I mean, I just feel like we need to investigate everything that we do because we got to be mindful of how we're doing things. Because just because something we're doing appears to be good outwardly, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's good over a long term.
Like yoga.
Maybe,
Like
maybe
yoga.
not.
Like yoga. Like yoga is legit. People think, yoga is good for stretching, but yoga in essence, you're doing um pagan god poses to pagan gods.
I mean, but see, the thing about that is what you're using it for.
Yeah,
Like if
well,
when you understand what it is, then you could say what you're not using it for. But when you don't understand, when somebody tells you something that you now you might just throw it away. But my thing is, you don't worry about the worst parts. You take the best parts of things for yourself. You
yeah,
just know about it, so that way, if a person say, "Well, you posing in a pagan," all right, well, maybe that's what they said they used to do, but I'm using it for this, and this is how I'm working it. So, and if it works for me, I'm gonna continue using it for what I'm using it for.
right,
And what they was using it for then is one thing, but if you don't understand, a person could put a doubt in you, and they could knock your belief. You know what I'm saying?
right,
So, understanding is something that should supersede belief. And when you understand something, then you could believe in it because you know that it works. You see what
right,
I'm saying? But a lot of times people put belief before knowledge and understanding, and they still claim to have wisdom. Like you can't have wisdom if you don't know nothing. So what I'm saying is you have to gain and accumulate knowledge, and then over time you learn how to discern it properly to the point where you could say that you're wise now. Like you have a certain technique that is a way that works. That thing works for you, and it works every time. You see what I'm
right,
saying? Or 90%, or you got it down pat. You mastered it. So you got not just a knowledge of it, but an application or wisdom of it, and a complete understanding of how you could describe it works for you. You could
right,
teach that, and other people could take that same pattern, emulate it, and get the same results. But when you have a belief system, now it's left up to like a trial and error, weigh and judge, like blindly thing. and some people could see it and some people can't. That's just in my estimation. Like, it's like if you believe the car is blue, but I'm telling you the car is red, your belief, you could be wrong, but I can't change your belief. You see what I'm saying? Because that's just what you subscribe to. Like, we could know something is a thing is a thing, but if you believe it's not, like, you could fall victim to it. So, I mean, knowing is imperative as far as how I see things just in life, regardless of culture or religion. Belief is strong enough to get things done a lot of the time. But a lot of times people don't know why they're doing things for, and they end up doing something good, but they did it for the wrong reason. And somebody end up taking advantage of them in the long run. So, I mean,
That's
to
what I
me,
feel.
go ahead.
So not to cut you off, right? That's what I feel like I hear every time I hear somebody represent the nation of gods and earths. And I'm saying this respectfully, right?
Hmm.
I'm saying this from a neutral stance. This is not me saying what I like or dislike. This is a neutral stance. Let me first say hello to Corey Lee and Fritz Alcenda in the chat. Salute to my guys.
Yeah,
Um,
peace to them.
so my thing with the nation of gods and earths is this: the people that I meet from the nation of gods and earths don't start in a place where most don't start in a place of temple, right? Most of the people that I meet that introduce me to it or try to talk to me about it learned it somewhere else, like prison or jail or the streets. And they say, "Hey, Uncle Freezie, what you've been learning, man, you crazy, man. You know, you've been following this white man's religion, and you don't know what you're doing. Yet that's not really, Uncle Freezie ain't even really your name. You know what I'm saying? Your name is such and such." And I'm like, "Hey, so how much research did you actually do? Do you know my family lineage?" Nah, I don't know that. I don't know your family, but I don't have to because most people carry the white man last name. Like, okay, I got you. I feel you, right? I feel you. Let me ask you this: Where did you learn? Where did you learn what you're trying to teach me? Well, I learned it in the cipher. What was the cipher? Well, I learned it in such and such. Why you want to know where I learned it from? And here's the thing: when you are expressing and are guarded at the same time, it makes it suspicious, right? Like for instance, when it comes to Christianity, Jesus Christ said he is the way, the truth, and the life, right? So there's nothing to hide. Christians want all of this stuff out front for people to know, right? But give an example of a cat that saved my life, not physically saved my life, but stopped me from going down a wrong path, right? A cat named Born Supreme, right? I
Hmm.
met Born Supreme. I was 7, and I think Born Supreme was probably 12. And we had moved up on the hill. We had moved to Van Nostrand, and I came outside one morning, and he was outside leaning on my father's car, smoking a cigarette, right? And I was like, "Hey, get off my! What's wrong with you? Why are you leaning on my father's car?" He was like, "Hey, kid, you know what I'm saying? I already had a long night, and I ain't trying to hurt nobody, right? This is Born Supreme, right? This is one of these days on Vibes. I'm gonna tell his whole story, but that's why I met Born Supreme, man. He was like, "Man, you got a lot of spunk to be 7 years old." And I was like, "Bro," like, yeah. And in my mind, of course, I'm Uncle. Without this getting sideways, I've been Uncle Freezie for a long time, even when I was 7, right? So the thing is, in this chance meeting, this dude who had this little boy at 12 years old had already lived an adult's life, right? But he was 12. He already had he already knew who he was. He had already changed his name. He was already a part of the nation of gods and earths. When I met him, he had already been here, right? He had already been through some stuff. And just to give you a short backstory, his parents were on drugs and they fought all night, every night, right? And they didn't do anything in the house. So he went out on the streets to take care of his parents. It didn't matter how he took care. He robbed, stole, sold, whatever it took. He hustled in order to take care of his parents because his parents loved him. But they didn't show him love back because they had issues.
Right.
And so this kid, when I met him, he was 12 years old, talking about paths and what the righteous need to do. He was 12. What I didn't know when I first met him, is that he had already started on this path years and years before that. Had been incarcerated, put in homes,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, taken out of the home, put with his grandmother, left Newark, came all the way back to Jersey City on his own to stay with his parents. The cops will come, he'll hide, they'll take his parents to jail because they can't find all these different things. And so 6 o'clock, or not 6 o'clock, that's a lie, but about 6:30 you know how you got to put the trash out for the trash man to come. So about 6:30, 6:45 in the morning, I'm taking out the trash, and this dude leaning on my father's car smoking a cigarette. That's our chance meeting. He started talking to me about stuff like black men knowing their place in the universe.
Right.
But I'm 7, right? I'm 7 years old, and everything that I remember up until that chance meeting is about going to church 4 times a week, whether it's Sunday school, church, Bible study, choir practice, usher rehearsal, whatever it is, was at the church. That's what we was doing. My grandmother had us in the church 4 times a week. Easy 4 times a week. Easy. And he stopped this chance meeting with him. He changed my life. He was a 5%er. But the thing about that though is, like I mentioned, on Supreme, he didn't learn this in a temple. He learned this in incarceration and on the streets. And so that's why I always question, like when people talk to me, I'm like, hey, so why do you have to learn this why is this not organized? Basically, is what I'm getting at, Wise.
Well, the thing is that it is organized. It's just in an unorthodox kind of way. Like, it's like you said, Jesus said he was the truth and the light, right?
Yeah, the way, the truth, and the life. Yeah.
But he wasn't in the temple when he was saying that.
Right.
He was just rolling. You see what I'm saying? And he was building his followers as him and his disciples was moving. And as he was moving and he was teaching this, what ended up happening to him was he got assassinated, right?
Right. Yep.
And that's the same thing that the father did. He was in the temple first, and that's where he gained a lot of knowledge of Islam, dealing with Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X in Temple Number 7 in Harlem in the early 60s, actually from 1960 to 1963. And he learned structure and discipline dealing with the Nation of Islam. However, he was also in United States Army in the Korean War.
Yep.
A lot of father was never incarcerated until he started teaching the black man and the black woman was the kings and queens of this planet. He never was incarcerated for nothing besides standing up for community. So for people to say that this is where that came from, that's a misnomer. Also, a lot of the people that he first taught, he tried to teach older people first. However, older people only wanted to hear what he was saying because they wanted to see what they could get out of it, and they wasn't trying to put the work in to develop a nation. So what he did is went to the children first. The first people that he taught were between the ages of 21 and 13. So what do young people do when they get stuff? The same way Born Supreme did with you. We talk and we teach real fast. We multiply. You know what I'm saying? You got a lot of friends. You start doing a certain thing. You start standing upright, acting a certain way, clean your act up. Your friends gonna see it. They gonna want to know how you do that. They like, oh, what? You been packing bags at the supermarket? I want to pack bags too. So now it's the same type of effect. So a lot of the children and younger people that he was teaching, they were motivated in the community. However, they were still young. So they begin to get incarcerated. And through the process of that, it started, the teachers spread faster. You understand? So people were coming out with the mentality that wasn't in there. It didn't come from in there. It just came more from out of there. And with such an energy that it seemed like that's where it came from. You understand? But that's not really where it came from. So a lot of people say, you know, this is street Islam or some jail knowledge or something like that. But I'll put all my facts up against anybody's facts, and I guarantee you that I'll be 100% right and exact. So,
Except
I
one. Except
what's
one.
that?
The
What's
thing
that?
about see the thing about Jesus Christ is not that he never went into a temple, right? Not in that sense. Not in
No,
that.
I didn't say he didn't never go in a temple.
No,
I said that that's not where he started teaching at.
right. No, I got you. I got you. I got you. I'm just let me just finish the answer. The thing is with that is that Christianity, at least with Christianity, right? And I'm not comparing them in this sense. What I'm saying is the comparison between where you learn it at, right? In Christianity and other religions, you actually have places where you can go, right? Just like the Muslim brothers, right? Like the Muslim temples, they learn in a certain place. Now they don't learn specifically all in those places, right? That's not it's the same thing with Christians. Like so you don't learn all in a church, right? Of course you learn every day. You know, some stuff you learn on your own. You don't need the church to learn
Well,
to learn
you
everything.
do know that
But
a lot, the 5% Nation has a law school in Mecca in Harlem, and we had it since 1967.
right? Yep.
So, I mean, it's not like we have in this day and time we got um many schools in different states at this point, but we had many different schools over the years in the late 60s, early 70s. We had schools in the Bronx, we had schools in Brooklyn. We got a law school in Medina still standing right on Livonia Avenue right now. And a law school been open ever since. We withstood two fires, and we still adding on and building onto the school
And
right
and,
now.
and
So
hope and hope is more. But the thing I was speaking
yeah,
to,
yeah, yeah, for sure.
yeah, but the thing I was speaking to was my experience though.
Yeah, yeah, I understand.
Yeah. That was the thing I wanted to, that's the reason why I emphasized it when I first started speaking about it. Is through my experience, is that the people that I meet, and then and so he just a few things just real quick. I'm not saying Christianity is perfect because it's not. Everybody that has Christianity come across their tongue is not going to make it to heaven, right? And I understand that everybody that walks the planet is not going to believe in heaven, right? And so the thing is, but for a Christian, that's the ultimate goal, is to live your life here in a way that when your day comes, you can be with the grand architect of the universe, God, forever. Right. And so the thing is with that, with Christianity, unlike, okay, so I'll just make it plain. I'll just make it plain. A lot of people sully the name of five percenters.
Oh yeah, they do.
It's easy to do it, right?
It's
Because
it's it's kind of easy to do it when you're not speaking with a person that know what they talking about. But
right.
when if you're not sitting with a person that could speak for themselves and you just talking, then you could sully their name. But if you sitting with that person in front of you and that person is knowledgeable, you can be embarrassed.
No, not in that sense. I'm not talking about sullying Eli Wise's name.
Now I'm just saying in
I'm
general of
talking about
people
sullying.
people talk about 5%ers and it has a bad connotation a lot of the time.
You're right, Lord Jamal,
Yeah.
AZ, right? Guys that represent the 5%, and so and I understand where this comes from. This is not even about being a 5%er, 5%er. This is about young people maturing, right? And young people mature at different rates, right? Like I heard AZ talk about the 5%, the nation of gods and earths, and how it's a good thing. And then I also hear him talk about crime, drugs, sex, and everything else that's destroying the black family, but in a
Well,
positive light. Like
well,
legit talk about street life and this thing, and um romanticizes that and then lean backs on one way. And it makes it seem like the two, being a 5%er and rugged street life, are intertwined.
well, the thing with that is that everything is real, Freeze. And
Right.
as much as you try to separate yourself from certain things, when you step into certain environments, those things become real again.
Right.
So if you're in those environments, you're going to speak on it and you're going to speak on what takes place in those environments. So as an entertainer and a person that's speaking about life in general, you see how things are acted out in real time and how people really aspire to be that. And sometimes you speak about it. Like it's not nothing different from what Marvin Gaye or Curtis Mayfield was doing. So, because AZ got those songs, but he also has songs speaking about it in a negative light too. So
Right.
I'm just saying, I'm not trying to speak for him on his behalf. You will have to speak to him and ask him about that. But my thing is that, like I said, everything is real and it's positive and negative and everything. Like I could tell you how much money I'm making from selling drugs, and you could tell me how much money you making from trading stock. Like, why you doing that when I'm doing this and I make more money than you and it's easier?
Right.
If all you had to do, if you put that energy that you put into going outside and poison the community into doing this, you could make more. So, you know what I'm saying? That's why I don't mind having these type of conversations because I mean, I'm more of a cultural person than a religious person. And I look at how things relate to life in reality and in real time more than I look on what we call religion. Because I
Right.
know that all Christians are not necessarily religious like that either. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it's different types of Christians. I would like to learn more about that. So if Fritz was gonna come up, it would be a good time. But at the same time, you know, I could speak to everything from my vantage point. And I just feel
Right.
that you know, it's a lot that we could learn from each other as far
You're
as
right. But the thing, just real quick, the thing is the thing about AZ, the reason why I know this is because I'm an AZ fan.
nah, I'm
Right.
an AZ fan too.
Yeah, so it's not as if I picked him out to be the martyr for this conversation. Right. The
But
reason why I
the reason I generalize it though, Freeze, and not to cut you off, but just to let you know that It's because a lot of entertainers say things for different reasons. You know what I mean? So
Right.
like I don't take what they say on face value. Like they might have affiliations with certain things, but they're not really entrenched in it as you might think. And some are way more entrenched than you even know because
Right.
they don't broadcast it like that in what they do. So that's what I'm saying. Like you see a lot of people that might appear to be a certain way, but it's a lot of people that appear to not be a certain way who really are too. You understand? It's a lot of people that was 5%ers, actors, activists, doctors, lawyers, all different type of fields that I didn't know because coming from New York, where I came from, it was mostly inner city youth. But I realized that it was a lot of brothers older, like God Sham God, that coaches with Dallas Mavericks. His father's a 5%er. A
Right.
lot of people don't know that.
Right.
And he's been an activist in this nation since the 60s too.
Right.
So you know what I mean? But in all types of walks of life is been gentlemen that I've been able to meet that, you know, from coming from where I come from, I wouldn't expect them to be at it. I mean, looking the way they did when I met them. And that's what grew me up to understand that, you know, we look like everybody and everybody doesn't go around broadcasting that they're 5% or whatever the case may be. You might not even know. It might be one of your favorite actors or something like that. And then you come to find out years later, you know what I mean, that he was an active member of this nation. And his ideology might be something way different from what you know him as. So when you look at Lord Jamal, you look at AZ or somebody else that you might know, and you might be able to easily look down at what they doing and be like, that don't even make no sense. Like, is those are just bad examples at the time.
Right.
You know what
See,
I
but
mean?
I didn't use them to be bad examples. What I used them to be equal examples because while there are um but there are bad apples everywhere,
Yeah, that's what
right?
I'm saying. Like,
There are
and they
bad
could come back from that.
right, right. And there are some that start off as good apples, see how you can empower yourself in Christianity and then become a bad apple. Like Jim Jones. Remember Jim Jones and the thing that happened in South America?
Yeah, yeah,
How you could say God, say God, say God, say God, and people gonna follow because you say God, but then you take you get ruined. You get a King's disease kind of where people keep putting in the collection plate because um we think that the institution is going to use that money for helping the community, and come to find out it's being used for the pastor's anniversary as a gift,
yeah,
right? And so you can start off on this path of, man, I don't want to be a preacher. I just want to get closer to God. And then something moves you to become a preacher. And then you realize how much clout you get as a preacher in your community. So much so that now you're getting a salary and people giving you offerings and
yeah.
people paying your car payment and your house payment so that you can get out and do the word of God without worrying about the worldly things. And now, you go from a 6-bedroom house to a mansion, right? And or you go from like, driving, you know, the 4-door Cadillac to an Escalade because you do road trips in the name of the Lord, so to speak. And it turns you into like those preachers in New York that you see, the one wearing the Coogee sweater and the Busta Rhymes necklace around his neck, preaching God.
Hey, I mean, see, but the thing is that it's business. It's business. Like a lot of people look at it, they come in one way, but they realize it's a business. And when they
Right.
realize it's a business, everything changes. It becomes analytics. You see what I'm saying? So the thing that I learned is that you gotta have freedom, justice, and equality to teach. Now, if you don't have that in your mind to teach, you're basically just teaching to take advantage of the people that you're teaching. You conditioning them to do certain things a certain way so that you could take advantage of them later. You see what I'm saying? If all of
Right.
those things are not in place, then it's definitely something that you're holding back and you're concealing so that you could unveil it maybe later or hold it back to keep them other people from knowing it so you could take advantage of their disadvantage. So
Yeah.
when I look at it, the way I learned it was if your culture is not free, you got to realize it's not yours. And you have to be free within your freedom, knowing that you could smack somebody and is one thing at any time. But if you smack that person, they're free to smack you back as many times as they might want. So the power is being free, but being under control.
Right.
And then you could disseminate equally amongst your people. And that's the thing that I look at in religion. I don't see it as that. I see the people that's in the back getting all the money, and I see all the people bringing the money into them. But I don't really see the money coming back out to the people.
Right.
It's just like school. Like everybody pays to go to college, but when they get out of college, they just leave with a piece of paper and they don't have no guarantee for a job. So
Right.
it's a conditioned institution. People go in, but they come out with less than they ended up giving them over the time they was there.
Right.
And they don't have nothing to show for it, except that they could say that they had the experience, but it doesn't really pay. So I don't know. Like I look at religion as um it's a choice for people. Like if that's what you choose to do, if you choose to believe in certain things and do certain things a certain way, like I said, if it works for you, then do it. But me, I'm more for knowing what you're doing, knowing why you're doing something, and not just having to say you got faith in it, but that you know it's going to work for you. And if it doesn't work, why? Because if you just put faith in something and it doesn't happen, how do you fix it? You put more faith into it?
Yes.
Like, I mean, that's like saying just play defense harder. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, we do it a lot because sometimes that's all we got. But I think having a plan is always a better way to attack situations. And if you don't have an honest way of measuring things, your plan is not going to be foolproof. So I think the schematics is important and understand how to lay plans, understanding how to build things, and things of that nature. So I think that the culture aspects is much more important than religious aspects of life in general.
Right. Right. I understand that. But in Christianity, there is one builder, right? That right. The one above all that creates all. The one that is everywhere all at once. Right.
Let me
The one
ask you a question then, Freeze.
there from the beginning and will be there through what we perceive as the end, even though yeah, okay. All right.
Let me ask you a question. Because you say the one that creates all, right?
Yep.
So what is the one without the all?
There is no one without the all.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the alpha and omega, the beginning and the end.
So what I'm saying is that without the creation, the creator doesn't exist,
No,
right?
no,
So what is it? He's waiting to create?
no. He's not waiting to create. Because if you say that, that means you believe you might be the creator, and you can't even control your weather. You can't even you can't even
I
control.
mean,
You know what I'm saying? That might because if
I
a
beg,
on
I
a
beg, I beg, I beg to differ.
right, right. I
I
understand.
beg to differ.
Right. I understand that. So, but the thing about that is a man can't even control his own environment. A man can't even control his own body.
I
Right.
beg to differ.
Okay. Well, show me proof.
I mean, well, the first thing is you got to ask yourself, what is a man, right?
Right. Right.
And are you talking about a male or are you talking about a man? Because a man is more than a male. A man is intelligence first. And that's why even when you say woman, a man is there. Intelligence is present in man because man is man, woman, and child. You understand what I'm saying? So the intelligence is the man. And that's where it goes from cell to cell, from man to woman to child and back. And that's the basic completion of a cipher or that holy trinity or that heaven on earth is right there. So I mean, as far as
Self-contained.
is exactly self-contained, it's all in one, all inclusive. So from one came many, and from many came one, like you said. And I'm just saying that they both are reliant on each other. Like
If they
the
self-contained,
father
how
is
can they
not a
be?
father without, because the
If
father
they
is not a
self-contained, how
father
can they be both? But if they self-contained, how can they be both?
because they all exist at once. It's just like an atom has a proton, a neutron, and an electron. It's self-contained. They come together from one to make more. So that's why it breaks apart. Like the sun is the foundation of our solar system. If you ask yourself how the sun was created, is basic elements is hydrogen, which is the smallest element on the periodic table, and helium, which is the second smallest. So the two smallest elements on our periodic table make the biggest thing in the universe. And it provides everything that we need now. And those same things, if you break them down and you look at how man is made physically, you'll see the same thing.
Right.
Exactly. And
Right.
from that one man inside of him, like you could look at the DNA or not DNA, the chromosomes, and you'll see that inside a man's body, we could make a male and female, meaning that man determines the sex of a child. A woman can only reproduce herself. So from that one man, it had to be inside him to bring her, and from him and her to come together to make the next generation. And that's just in genetics. You could look in genealogy and see that. So that's just something that people need to research. And from that, it'll open up more and more questions, what makes you want to learn more and more. And you'll understand man's relationship to the universe, not just on earth. And then you start to understand your origin in the world. But until you do that research for yourself, I'm not going to be able to just tell you this and you're going to just take it. You see what I'm saying? And run with it. That's something that has to interest you enough to make you want to look at it for yourself. And then you'll say, I don't know why I was believing this all of this time, because you'll be able to see it now for yourself. Not to say that the belief was wrong. It's just that people need to know why things occur and why they happen. And if you don't know, if you really want to,
So if it's so
investigate it.
basically you're telling me you're telling me man is self-contained, so there is no God. There is no leave this thing and go to another place to be with a higher calling. Because it's
What I'm trying to tell you is you was here before you was how you are now.
I know that already though. Yeah, we already know that.
Okay. So if you know that energy is something that can't be destroyed, that when you finish on this plane, you just gonna take these clothes off, which is your body, and you're gonna travel out of here to in a different form.
Mm.
Now, do you think that you're gonna be a person, a place, or a thing? That's something that somebody that experienced that would have to tell me. But in This life, nah, I don't know that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody never that experienced that has came back and spoke on that I know of.
No.
So I'm not gonna tell you that. But what I'm saying is that if you study, you can figure out your origin and your place in this universe, and you understand that where you came from is where you're gonna end up back again. I mean, it's just simple as uh length, width, height, dealing with dimensions, and you dealing with matter, which is like I said, protons, neutrons, and electrons. That's it. That's it. It's just a
So
physical plane we on right now.
okay, all right. Okay. So I look at things differently as a Christian,
Hmm.
right? I believe that God formed man of the dust of the ground, right? And he formed it and breathed into it life. And man became a living soul on the spot. That's what I believe,
And
right?
it was just him, one man.
Right? In the beginning. But God also said, it is not good for man to live on bread alone, right? And so then he created woman from apart from a man. That's why when you were saying these things, I was like, okay, he's saying some of the same stuff I've been hearing all this time in church. Is
Yeah,
said a different way,
yeah.
right? So kind of there, but there is a thing. The thing about planes, I generally don't get too deep into that because I know these places have names, and their names, they're called by names in the Bible, heaven, hell, other different names, right? And then, but if we're talking about the eternal part, but just real quick, Fritz Halcenda says, I don't believe we have a soul, a part that separates from us. Fritz, I don't understand what that means, bro. I was reading it. I read it a couple of times, and I don't understand what that means.
Yeah, I don't
Fritz,
understand that
Fritz,
either.
Fritz, yeah, Fritz gonna have, you just gonna have to.
That's
But
why you should come up and just jump in real quick, Fritz. But
I,
because I would like to speak to that, but I don't want to speak out of place without understanding fully what you mean.
right. I think Fritz is a different type of Christian than I am. Right. And so but and here's the thing, and it's gonna sound mad disrespectful, but they say it too. I'll say, I'm gonna say this because I think they say the same thing. Right. And I don't know, but I heard people say it too. Because the thing is, when you're Baptist, right? When you're Baptist, people think of other beliefs taught to you as if you don't study the Bible. Like for instance, I got stopped by a Jehovah's Witness that asked me, hey man, you got a few minutes to talk about the Bible? No, I don't have, and no disrespect. This is not disrespect to an individual, but Jehovah Witnesses also don't have the um the cleanest reputation outside of what they do. And I know they protect each other, and that's what they should do. And they practice their thing, and that's what they should do. But when you're um even in the movies, bro, you ever saw a movie when a Jehovah's Witness walk up?
Yeah, people don't want to answer their door. We
And
all
it's
know
not
that.
it's not the individual person or their belief, bro. And I'm not being disrespectful to them because Jehovah Witnesses believe. One of my homeboys, one of my man, me and this dude was tight as yo-yo string one time. He's a Jehovah's Witness, bro. We could do everything together except talk about God, bro. So when you talk about God, I just walk off. You're like, hey man, where you going? Why every time I talk about God, you walk off? I'm like, hey dog, listen. Nah. Some of this stuff that you say is peculiar. Like some of this stuff is strange in an odd way. Like some of this stuff is while it may be true or true to me, it sounds outside of what I'm used to hearing.
And that's
Right?
why people need to have conversations and build, because a lot of times we used to hearing things a certain way, like how you said what I was saying is similar to certain things that you heard in the Bible just being told a different way.
Yeah, restate.
Like,
Yeah, you totally wrapped up some stuff. It just repackaged it in a way
I
that
did it from a physiology standpoint.
nah, I already I mean, nah, I already
That's all.
the stuff that you told me, bro. I've been
Yeah, I
it,
know you know it. I'm
yeah,
just saying the way I spoke on it was from a viewpoint from inside your body.
right.
Like your genes, you have the ability to make a man and woman inside your body. A woman only has the ability to reproduce herself or make a woman inside her body. So that means that man had to be produced first, because inside his body is both. And she only has the ability to produce herself if he allows it. You understand? It's a mathematical order to that equation, and one can't come before the other. So that's something that we have to
What do you
understand
what do
and
you,
learn from
what do you base that on?
inside our body,
What do you
on
base
the
it
on chromosomes, on
Yeah,
the study of genealogy.
so what you're telling me is that wasn't taken from the Bible.
I'm saying that the Bible takes that from our body.
Okay, see, I think you shoot me the gas now, bro. How in the world? How can science? How can the Bible take that from science? And the Bible and many versions were written before science was even established.
Oh, really? Okay.
Really,
I
really.
mean, it's a. I mean, so we had sciences such as astrology, astronomy, genealogy, and physiology, and chemistry.
Mhm.
I mean, we know that it was places where all of these great mathematicians, like the Greeks, went to study,
Right.
and those is our histories that we haven't uncovered, a lot of us. So again, we're basing our lives off of half truths and just blatant lies, because people have covered our history for so long that we don't even see ourselves as being in the picture that long. But in all actuality, I was just in an Africana studies class not long ago, and I was able to ask the professor how long the white man has been on this planet, and he didn't even know.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, now I'm not the scholar in the class. I'm not accredited as being a scholar, but it's not hard to see and understand where certain things come from if you just study. So, you know what I mean? And when I asked that question, he asked me, could I tell him? And when I explained it to him, he said he was going to get back to me on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, studying is something that we need to all do constantly. Even like you could easily teach the teachers. Like you could easily go into the temple and teach them something too, based on your understanding of life itself. Like the Bible and Quran is people's history. This is stuff that people lived. If
Right.
you believe in it, this is stuff that people lived and
How
carried
often
out.
do you call it? How often do you call it the Quran, or do you call it the Holy Quran?
I mean, well, I told you I'm not a religious person,
Okay.
so I don't value it in that manner like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
But I don't say the Quran to discredit it without the
No,
Holy
we know
Quran.
we not discrediting. Let me do this disclaimer real quick. So
Yeah,
everybody, everything we talking about, we're not discrediting anybody. We're merely talking about this topic from our perspective and our point of view based on what we've learned over the years.
yeah.
Right?
I don't have no disrespect towards any of those other
Right.
religions or cultures. I'm just when I say the Quran, I just mean it as the Holy Quran. I don't mean it
For
as
what it
no,
is.
yeah,
For what it
exactly,
is. So if you're watching, don't take that as a sign of disrespect. Right?
exactly.
Don't take that as a sign of disrespect. But I mean, this dude, I was approached in 1975 or 76, one of them years. This is like, oh boy. Hey, Wise, guess who backstage, bro?
I don't know, but let's
Prince
see.
House is in the building. Salute.
Peace,
Hey,
Fritz.
what's going on?
My guy,
Yeah,
what's
I
up?
kind of miss. Yeah, I kind of missed some of the stuff you said, but um, yeah, I just wanted to give you like 5 minutes just to just to get a little bit more understanding
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
man.
we are kind of
And I definitely wanted to understand what you were saying about a separation of soul or something like that. I didn't really
I don't
so
even
understand,
know what
so
you're
so.
talking
I
about,
didn't
bro.
want to answer it without understanding.
Oh, okay. Okay. So for most Christian religions, people have souls. For most Christians, that's what they believe is that there is something inside you, a spirit, something that separates you. I mean, you can ascend to heaven, you can go to hell, or something like that. But for Joe's Witnesses, we one thing about our religion is like everything must be from the Bible. Like we don't really like take things, make our own doctrine. So it's that humans are souls. So um so you are a person. There isn't a part of you that separates. So when you die, you're dead. Like
Hmm.
you know, God
Hmm.
can resurrect you, stuff like that, but you are a soul yourself. So there isn't something that flies off, that goes to heaven. You do believe in
Right,
heaven, but only certain amount of people go to heaven, and it's not the way like a lot of people think about heaven. Um, Heaven isn't a promotion. It isn't a promotion from we're made to live on Earth. Like
right,
you know
right,
what I mean?
right. Yeah,
We're
I
from
could see
Adam.
that.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
I could see.
But
Nah, I mean, when I say I could see it, I mean I could understand that way of thinking because it only makes sense. Like we're the way our body and everything about us is designed is to be here.
and not only that, our desires are human. Like a lot of
Yeah,
people, I
yeah,
like people's like, oh,
yeah.
I'm gonna go to heaven and hang out with my grandma, or hang out with like,
Exactly,
uh, it's okay. So
exactly,
what's grandma doing in heaven that she can't do on Earth?
exactly. And the way that we look at
But
it is that heaven is no higher than your head, and hell is no
Oh,
lower
let
than
me let me let me so let me answer this real quick.
you.
Mhm,
What you can do in
mhm.
heaven that you can't do on earth is see
No,
God for who he is. No, hold
oh,
on.
okay.
Oh, hold on.
I didn't mean it
Yeah,
that way.
you can see. No, I got you. I got you. No, because we were talking about like playing cards and hanging out and singing together in that aspect. But there is heaven is well. You know what? I'll say it like this. Heaven is not a what's the word
It's
I'm looking for? Yeah,
it
it is. Oh, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
well, so like okay, so we do believe there is a heaven. God is the heaven. There are angels. Um,
Right.
um, but it's not meant for everyone. Um, we are meant to be humans. Like we're born humans. We're meant to be humans. When Jesus, brought us back, bought us as a people, he brought us to be humans again, to regain everlasting life like we're supposed to.
Could I ask a question
We
though,
do
real
believe.
quick?
Mm-hmm.
Because Jesus came in a period of time that was way after Adam, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, how come he chose Jesus and not Adam?
Oh,
Okay.
see. Oh, go ahead, Fritz.
Okay. So
I'm
Adam.
gonna enjoy this part. This part is fun for me. Go ahead, bro.
Okay, so Adam is the first human that God created, and
Right.
he lost perfection. He corrupted him. He corrupted himself. So everybody who comes after him is corrupted. So it's like having a dent in the pan, and you keep making cakes. Every cake is gonna have a dent in it. So millions of people after Adam are corrupted.
Billions, probably trillions. Yeah.
Yeah. We're all corrupted. So right at that when he messed up humans, he messed us up. God said, okay, I'm going to put a plan in. And in that plan, I'm going to put Jesus in that plan. And Jesus is going to buy back. Basically, one perfect man messed up. Now, another perfect man has to make it right. And that's Jesus.
Yeah. All right. Could I ask? So, but Adam was made in God's image, right?
As in, he gave mankind qualities. He gave.
I mean, I'm not saying that like he looked qualities. Exactly like him or nothing like that. What I'm saying is that he made him how he thought he should be.
Yeah, he gave him the qualities, special qualities that animals just don't have. Animals don't have certain qualities that we have. Right. Like we want to worship. Animals don't want to worship anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like we got free will.
We got free will. We got consciences. We got a lot of things.
There's some things that are being skipped though. So for
there's a lot being skipped. There's a lot being skipped.
So for one, even the word Adam means man. Adam is man, right? First of all, right? Just even that part, right? And not just Adam was corrupted, his environment is corrupted. So everybody that is born into this corrupted environment. We're born into sin, right? Just off of birth, right? Just off of birth. And birth is a real thing. I hear a lot of people say, nah, man, I wasn't birthed, I was born. No, I know you wasn't. You wasn't. Adam punished Eve by making her go through labor in order to give birth and not give born, right? Her part in the punishment is to have labor, to go through her thing that a man, Adam, doesn't go through. It's like a lot of these things. And even at that point, even at that point, there was also something that was created in that moment too. It's a thing called, and I know people don't talk about it like this, but there's a thing called numbers, generation, and lineage. And when you start reading the Bible, you'll see how important, and not you, I'm just saying Christians in general, when you start reading the Bible, you'll notice how important numbers are in recording things, and lineage, and generations, like how important it is for Jesus to be born 42 or birth into 42 generations. That number is important. Yeah, right? Like the number, like the number 40, why 40 is important, why the Israelites walked around in the wilderness for a certain number of years. All these things are important after that day. And I think what happens is some of these things, when you read your Bible, we read the Cliff Notes version of Bibles, and we forget that we should have a understanding of everything that we read. Now, no one is going to understand everything. And it's the reason why. you talk to Bible scholars. It's the reason why when Fritz was speaking, like I just totally tuned into what Fritz was saying. Like, let me hear Fritz out for what he's saying, because there may be something that I missed. Because even though I consider myself scholarly, you never know what the next person knows that may help you in your understanding, which goes back to the point that Wise made when he was speaking about the 5%ers. It's not where you come from, it's where you are. That was the point that Wise was making. It don't matter if this person became a 5%er in prison, right? It doesn't matter his start point. It's where he is and his understanding and wisdom and what he can share with you. That's the most important part, right? I'm sorry, Fritz, for cutting you off. I just want to say Adam means man. My bad.
Yeah. But basically, Jesus had to be born on earth. He had to be perfect throughout that time, not sinning. And then he had to offer his life. And once he offered his life, it brought back what Adam lost. So Adam created this mess, he undid it. And now we belong to Jesus, since he bought that sin from us. So now, that's kind of, Christianity. We follow Jesus, at that point.
Why do you say everybody's not going to heaven?
Do that in 5 minutes. Okay. Okay. So we know there are different classes, like Jesus. Okay, so Jesus is going back to heaven. Went back. Back to heaven. He's ruling as king in heaven. He has like a bride class, so he's not going to just rule alone. They talk about a bride class for Jesus that will rule over humankind, and for us, that's 144,000, like chosen out of mankind. But everybody who's not in that 144,000 will be on earth.
But when Jesus was here, he was teaching freedom, justice, and equality. So now, why would he want to be a ruler over the people in heaven? I just never understood.
No, he became like the rightful owner of like humans.
I don't understand,
because he bought that debt.
You gotta, because he didn't explain who Jesus is.
Jesus, Joe's Witness is Jesus is God's son. He isn't God,
right?
But we know, if we kind of go back to the Garden of Eden, when Satan, tempted Eve, and then Adam gave in, that kind of brought up a problem, because he kind of challenged God's authority. He challenged God's authority.
If I come in your house and I tempt your wife, it's gonna cause a problem too.
No, but he told, he basically told Eve, if you eat this apple, you know good and bad. Or not only know, but you know what, you control your destiny. You control your destiny, and whatever you say is right is right. God can't tell you what's right or right. God can't tell you what's wrong and that be wrong. Like you are the master of your domain.
Right.
And so basically, if he took that, if he, Satan was wrong. If he at that point, he just, got rid of Satan at that moment. Just say, Satan, you out of here. Kills him. That question will always be there. Was he right or was he wrong?
Right. So, like, my question, right, is just from looking at it from that standpoint, is that, so God is always the Father and the Son is always the Son.
Always the Son. Like, for Jehovah's Witnesses, we don't have a Trinity.
It never transcends. Like, the Son never becomes the Father.
No, like they're separate. Their relationship is tight.
Yeah,
they're tight. sometimes like you could talk to somebody and you know, like you can meet somebody's son and they just like their dad.
Yeah.
That's the kind of relationship, not that he is his dad.
But he
So
never he's his own, he becomes his own man, but he never becomes a father, and he never has a son because he's always the son.
Yeah.
he's always the son of God, yeah. But there's some Christians who think they're the same person.
I mean,
So,
see
which,
that,
you know,
and
I don't
like,
believe.
I don't know, maybe it's the way that you describing it, but it don't
Mhm.
like, I think my thing is, when you teaching that to children, how do you explain that? Because real life, how do you show that? A daughter that never becomes a mother, or a son that never becomes a father from a father
Well, we
that had a son, or a
we
mother that
we
had a daughter. Like, that's
well
not
we
life, and it's no what was the word you
well
used?
we show them from this.
Freeze. It's like no longevity there. It's no generations there. You can't see generations. It's just one generation. If it's just one father and one son, and he's always the father and always the son, like, and we live in a whole different life. So how do people ascribe to that when you teach that and it's not reality?
Well, I mean, there's a whole story to it. I
Yeah.
mean,
Nah, I'm just saying,
Jesus,
based on how you said it, like, as a person that
yeah.
is not a part of that teaching, and I'm just hearing it, that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Okay, how would I speak to someone who doesn't subscribe to Christianity?
Nah, not necessarily that. It's not even trying to make them a believer. It's just, how do you illustrate that in life, in right now? Like, how could you show me the relationship of God and his son in real life, when a father and his son is always in the same place? Like, that
No,
father
I believe that
doesn't
too.
never pass
I, I
on
be-
the torch
yeah,
to the
I'm
son. Like, I never
well, I
see that
mean,
in life.
they're not gonna, yeah, they don't die. So I mean,
Right.
like, they're not human beings. They don't have the limitations. If humans were like they were originally supposed to be, that Adam would still be, Adam could be my next door neighbor if he didn't sin.
Right. Right. And two, we don't even know how long they were in the Garden of Eden before this even happened.
Oh yeah,
Like, we
it
don't
doesn't.
know.
Yeah, he
Right.
was. Yeah, so I mean, there was time that passed before Eve came, and then there was time, between when they sinned and when they had children. So
Right.
it
Yeah.
doesn't say how long it was, but
Yeah. And
but
the one thing about population is, the reason why population grows is because part of the population dies. So you have to have people born because people die. Right. And so
yeah.
you have to, but if God is everlasting and Jesus Christ is everlasting, then you don't need a seed to carry on to be the future replacement of God, because there is no future replacement of God.
Because God is
Yeah,
one, and it's a continuance though. And that's what I'm saying. That's why you could see continuance in life, but from the way that he explained it, I didn't see the continuance. Like, a reign is like a king has a reign, right? But we
okay.
also see rain. It continues to rain daily on our planet, constantly. Like, you could show a correspondence, as above, so below, or heaven on earth, or you could show the relation between heaven and hell, or the opposite. You know what I'm saying? I can't see that
Okay.
in his explanation. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, there's more. I think what you're missing is the way the Earth is going right now isn't the way he intended it. And I think most Christian religions will say there's a point where that changes, where control of the earth would take a Jesus would take that rulership and revert things back to the way they're supposed to be.
Yeah,
It is
I
written.
mean, that's the
So
overarching outcome of life itself
yeah,
to reproduce and replenish. So I mean,
yeah,
over the course of time, like you said, the earth might not be the same how it was, but over the course of time, the earth deals with refinement.
so okay, so I'm just saying what we believe
Okay.
is that
Nah,
God
I'm
will.
agreeing with you. I'm saying that
Okay,
but that's something that we could see. So that's
yeah,
why I
so
could say exactly I agree with you because I could see it. But certain things that you
yeah,
said, it just wasn't clear to me. That's why I was
yeah,
asking you again. It's not to say that I don't agree. I just couldn't
yeah,
see it clear enough to say that I agree or not.
yeah. So I mean, because it's hard to when we don't see it in our normal life to imagine some of these things that are in the Bible. Because in the Bible, it's like you know God's going to clear the earth, pretty much. Bad people, clear the deck of bad people, and the people, his people, would kind of get the blessings that we originally were supposed to have, which is everlasting life, perfection.
And
But then
dominion.
we'll fill the earth. Yeah, then we'll fill the earth
So
again.
are we as the people waiting for him to do it, or are we the people supposed to take the reign and just handle it? Because it's
He is
things
supposed
that
to
we
do it.
can do too. So we just
Yeah,
supposed
no,
so what I'm asking, I mean, what I'm asking you is like, all right, you see certain things happening, right? But
mhm.
what do you do?
Okay. So my job, my religion, my job is to let other people know. So that's why you see a lot of Joe's ministers go door to door. You see them with the carts. You see all
Right.
the
So
those things.
now
But
you knock on my
it's
door.
the
You knock on my door and you come to me, right?
mhm,
And I open the door. I'm
mhm,
like, oh snap, that's Fritz, right? So
mhm,
you start kicking it to me. And I'm like, yo, I can see that. You know what I'm saying? Or I hear you. And I'm like, I'm gonna subscribe. I'm gonna start coming through or whatever, right? So boom,
mhm.
I'm coming through, and I'm like, I'm bringing more people. They bringing more people. Now we organize, right? And we have an accumulation of all different types of facts that people could bring to the table. Do
Mhm.
we still sit there and say we gonna wait for somebody else to do it, or do we just deal with being solutionary and fix the problems that we
See,
could fix?
but there are two parts that Fritz left out with the Jehovah
Yeah.
Witness, right?
Yeah.
So for one, they believe first. They don't just spread the stuff that they don't believe in, right? They believe first. Belief is very strong. They can say whatever they. I have experience with them, bro. Like legit, not Fritz. Me and Fritz don't talk about stuff like that because he ain't gonna let me be right, and I'm always right. But I'm joking about that part, but the thing is there has to be a stringent belief and discipline in what they believe in. And before they go out, they believe in this stuff because Jehovah Witnesses are not going to send people out that are not prepared. Because if they send unprepared Jehovah Witnesses out into the streets and they meet in Uncle Freezie or they meet in otherwise, they not going back to the Jehovah Witness place. Right? They're not going back. They're going to be a 5%.
I love talking to people who like love the Bible, because honestly, when most people we meet at the doors, a lot of people nowadays it's just wishy-washy. Like they don't believe in anything. They don't believe in anything.
Cause we
Right.
in a
And
time
it's
where you
hard.
gotta show people, like people
Yeah.
been lied to and taken advantage of to the
On
point where
for real.
you can't just talk to me no more. Like I don't got
Yeah.
time.
Fritz, do you
Yeah.
believe in what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Are you are you disciplined and are you disciplined in the information that you're sharing?
Yeah. But at the same time, I'm not gonna say, hey, I know everything. And a lot of things
I didn't ask you that, and
I,
I didn't ask you if you were perfect because nobody's perfect
I
except
know, but
Job.
like
Except Job.
but a
Job.
lot of times I think a lot of people are like,
hey,
how
wise. You know I do that out there. You know that's me. That's me throwing a trap out there for Fritz.
I
Hey,
let
man,
it.
I just sat back and waited to see what was gonna happen.
I let it go. You know what Joseph said? Nowadays is like, don't be arguing with people. Don't be. Because honestly, when I was young, believe me, I grew up. My parents became Jehovah's Witnesses like I was 1 or 2, but early, man, Jehovah's Witnesses are like real, like they knew their Bible, but they love getting the arguments. I didn't like do that. Nowadays, you won't see Jehovah's Witnesses arguing with people. Like it doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything for people. If you don't want to listen, I could throw as many facts as I want. It ain't gonna help you because you ain't gonna accept it.
Exactly.
So
I don't know if Jehovah's Witnesses have all the facts though.
It's Freezie. Like honest, Freezie. I think
Wise. You know, hey, Wise. You see that, Wise?
No,
hey, man,
I don't want to be like arrogant. I don't want to be arrogant.
No,
and Freezie, by how I would explain, I don't think a lot of people are told the truth about Jehovah's Witnesses. I think people like kind of, I think they kind of, there are certain things I hear about Jehovah's Witnesses like, this is crazy.
It's great, yeah.
We're just not liked, honestly, because as a religion, we're kind of like the people who kind of poke holes in stuff. And the know-it-alls, people don't like them type of people, especially other church folks. They don't like that kind of people.
Right.
So sometimes you gotta wait till people are ready. We gotta wait till people are ready. They want to talk about certain things. If they don't want to talk about it, you can't really push it because it's gonna make them mad.
See, I think
like
that
religion
the people
is personal to people,
because a lot of people don't know how to explain what they believe.
Right.
And that's why when they don't know how to fully explain what they say that they know, they get upset. And
like
it changes the conversation. Like I might ask a question. If you can't answer it, that doesn't mean that you don't know what you know. It just means that you might have to get back with me on that. You know what I'm saying? Like
I do that all the time.
But some
it might
people
not be
take it. Exactly.
Because
some people might take it, or it might just be something that you study, but you don't remember it off the top of your head to answer it right there.
Yeah.
So instead of just saying, let me get back to you, a lot of people take it as I'm trying to insult your character by asking you a question about something you said you knew, and because you can't answer it, now you feel away.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I'm saying? That shouldn't be like that.
Part of that too is new belief systems, bro. Like Jehovah's Witness, bro. They like and no knock on Jehovah's Witnesses, y'all. Like I kid sometimes. I think people take it serious the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? That's my way of lightening the conversation, so people won't be offended in a weird way. Then I'm offending people, but when religions are new, people still have to like if for instance, like if you're a 5%er, this is new, even though it's going on 100 years old. But so is Jehovah's Witness, right? Even though it date back, it wasn't official, right?
Yeah.
Even though it date back, right? It was not officially this until a certain day.
It wasn't an organization. It wasn't like an organization. But when I look at my history,
like the same thing with Christianity. Like Christianity, the books of the Bible had been floating around for years before
it wasn't translated into English until 1383 by John Wycliffe.
Right. But the thing about it is the Bible itself may have been put together, but the books of the Bible, where some people believed in the Torah, right? Just a certain number of books of the Bible. Some people believe in the book of Enoch. Yep. That's not in the Holy Bible. Some people believe in all these different things, but until this one person put this thing together, so it wouldn't be a street religion, right? That's what Christianity was basically. From
Yep.
not every parts, but for the most part, Christianity was like the street religion. Like, this is what we believe in, this goat-faced animal thing. We pray to him for our harvest. We like, nah, we believe in the one and only true God. You're not making me, pray to a certain. You're not going to make me pray to an idol. This thing is a statue. You gonna make me pray to a statue? No, I can walk and talk, and the statue can't move, and I'm gonna pray to that. Come on. And so the thing is once you put all these things together, right, there is legit a line of demarcation where Christianity was brought together, and we accepted a book as the blueprint for the way that we should live our lives. Now that happened 2000, I think it was maybe 19. Anyway, it's a long time ago, right? And no disrespect to other religions or belief systems or whatever that have come along, but they also, that's why I was talking to Wise about that in the very beginning. This is one of the things that I wanted to talk to about, not the validation piece of it, but a lot of times the reputation is based on a few things. Like I asked Fritz this, and Fritz, I know you said you only have 5 minutes, but let me ask you this. How do you feel about what's the religious system out there in Utah, out there in the Nevada, Utah, Wyoming
Mormons.
area? How do you feel about
Mormons.
Mormons?
What do you mean? What do I feel about them?
Yeah, how do you
Okay. I'm not gonna bash like any religion.
Respectfully, respectfully, of course.
Okay. So this is how how we test religions. You take what's in the Bible and you compare it to what you're doing. And if you're doing things that aren't in the Bible, or you're pushing things that aren't in the Bible, then that's wrong.
Okay.
So I can talk about, there may be a specific things that they do, and so okay, that's not right. So I would kind of wipe that from my slate of, hey, would I do that religion? No, because they do things that shouldn't be here, or they added some things that shouldn't be here, and they know it, and they don't remove it.
But let me ask you this, because I'm not entrenched in what they do and what they don't do. So, but what I will say is, I know that everybody's interpretation of the Bible, especially between different denominations, is different.
It's different.
So
you know what? And
I see how each denomination plays on the word. Like,
so like,
I think
for
a
us,
Mormon could say that a Jehovah Witness uses a word a certain way and they live it a certain way that they shouldn't do, or it's not in accordance to what they do, and vice versa. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. So what? Okay. So what?
And I'm not being specific, but I'm just saying the same way that you say that the word doesn't align with what y'all do, the way they carry it, they could say the same thing and use the same word to justify what they do.
Yeah, people do it all the time. And the thing about it is, you need to know what was originally intended. Right. When he said this is what he meant.
This is now the point that I'm getting to, is to find out what originally is intended depends on each individual person's mind, because you're not going to be able to talk to none of the originators.
But we can do research on the intended.
Okay, and when you do the research, you're still gonna have to go to your go-to, which is your own intelligence, to make the decision.
Yeah.
Or you just gonna follow something because that's
you
what
can
everybody
eliminate.
said.
Okay. I really don't want to
like, I'm just trying to get to the source of it, because that's where, like, we always want to know where something started from, but we don't never really go all the way.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Sometimes people unintentionally misknow something. Look, let's see if somebody made a statement. You read somebody in a statement. They said, "Oh, this is this man is pencil thin," and in 2015, in 2025, pencil thin means something different than someone in 1800 says pencil thin, because the pencil is a different size, or it might had a fat pencil. But you need to find out what they originally meant when the person said it. And
Yeah.
if you know what they meant when they first said it, and it doesn't align what you're currently doing, then you know it's wrong.
Wait a minute.
What I'm saying though is this though, Fritz. Like, look, all right. Like when it was originally said, it meant this, but that was in that day and in that time. Now we in a whole different day and a whole different time. Now aligning with the word is obviously gonna have to be different. It can't be exactly the same as it was then. So that's what I'm saying.
So the
It gives each denomination an opportunity to have their interpretation.
Yeah, certain things are up to interpretation, and some things aren't. Like there are things that, like God said, and you'll look at some religion and they just don't subscribe to it, or they water it down. I think there's some play. Yeah,
What I'm getting at is that you could say that this is what God said, right, to me, and it might be true what He said, but at the end of it all, I gotta come to the realization, if I want to understand and believe that that's what He actually said in my mind. Like it's left to an interpret exactly. Now, if I'm gonna research that as far as I can, right, I'm still not gonna be able to get back to the point where I could contact and interview or ask somebody questions from that day and time. So it's left to my mind to connect to that time and place to see if that's what I want to align with.
Other than that, not so fast.
There's research. People over time just
because I think one of the things, Fritz, do y'all pray?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
This is one of the things that's being left out of this avenue that we're on. Right. See, because the fact that we may be in a mindset that we can't reach out to somebody from back then, we don't need to, because you can go directly to the source. Why would I need to speak? Why would I need to go speak to Saul about his thing on Damascus Road about a such and such and such, when I can go directly to God and get the answer myself? I don't need to speak to Saul or the witnesses, the people that was on the road. I don't need to speak to nobody there. I can just go to God for the answer. And that's one of the things.
And how do you do that? I want to know how you do that.
Pray.
Okay.
Pray. And sometimes you will be so wayward that God will sit you down, right? Sit you down, take you out of a situation. Listen, there you may be headed to a situation that is so detrimental to you that you can't see because you're so into it, that God will sit you down and come to you in that state, right?
Like, so let me ask you a question. Why you say that? Because I don't want to lose this thought, Freeze. If you're so wayward, right, and it took God to snatch you out of the situation, why did God let you become so wayward?
Because you have free will.
Okay, then. So that's what I'm saying. Now, when He sits you down, right? If you want to say He sat you down, I'm saying you sat yourself down because you put yourself in a predicament to get sat down. First off, now you get sat down, and we could say for the conversation, and I don't want to discredit what you're saying. Now he did sit you down. Now it's still up to you to come home or rectify that situation one way or another. Because we see so many people that get sit down and still come back and do the same thing over again.
Right.
So
See,
It's a fight.
this
It's a
is where
fight.
this is where me and Fritz will have a religious disagreement, right? And our religious disagreement will be based on spirit, right? Because and I don't know if Jehovah Witnesses believe in the devil or not, right?
We do.
But when I read the Bible, I read about many times that there were spirits in place that may have jumped on a person and changed a person from what they would normally be into something else, right? And we also know in my religion, we know of this thing called the Holy Spirit, the Comforter, right? For people, for humans, right? For humans, being a human is a tough thing to do because in your living, there are going to be voids that can only be filled by the love of God, right? Like there are going to be sometimes things that happen to you. You are going to be so depressed that you don't know how to fill that void, and that's the void that's got to be filled by the Comforter to let you know that you are loved on a galactic level, right, by the Creator, and that people out there generally love you for who you are. I mean, if it wasn't for that, humans would just be walking around not mingling or anything, right? They didn't have to. Love is one of the things that is missed from the conversation. The reason why Fritz and the Jehovah Witnesses go out is because of multiple things. They know what they're talking about, they believe in it, they practice it, and they love people. If they didn't care about people, bro, they'll just
I'd be working.
Right.
I'd be working. But yeah. Well, we believe in the Holy Spirit. Like, we don't believe the Holy Spirit as a person, like some people do. But it's like God's, but it's like God's active force. So it's his power. Like, right. But he can use it. Like, it's something he can dip into.
Right.
And
right.
And you can use it in like so many different ways. It isn't like he can use it to comfort you. He could use it to actually do some yeah. That's like
all the different types of, right? And all the different types of love, like brotherly love, right? Like or the love for all mankind, like how you love your neighbor, how you love your wife, how you love your children, all of those different things, different types of love. Is part of what makes a human, right? And but what happens is when we exploit these types of love, right, and turn them into different types, like what they're not used for their intents and purposes. Like, man, I love money, right? Like I love sex. I love such and such. Well, I love sex. I ain't gonna front. But what Fritz? What's the word? What's the word? Not sex. What's the word when sex is a bad thing?
Lust.
Lust. No, I'm talking about the act,
or
not
adultery. What else? Another name.
Fornicating.
Fornication. You're right.
Yeah. And so that's why I'm saying, like, to think that a man is on a man or woman is on an island is kind of in that sad state of nah, man, we're not here on the island. The religion and is here for not just serving God, but it's also for fellowship, It's the reason why Fritz goes to his place of worship and is around other people, because he can legit study his stuff at home and probably be okay. But fellowship and learning more
it's hard. Yeah. And it's a hard path. Like it's a hard path. And when you have other people who are on the same path and be like, yo, I had this problem. It's like, yo, I had that problem too, but this is how I dealt with it. So that's where having other
and words of encouragement, just small stuff like hang in there, young fella.
Yeah, that's the reason why we teach, because when we get the opportunity to teach, you learn too. Yeah. Like when I'm able to say I don't have a problem with sharing my experiences and the things that I've learned, people teach me too in the same process. So I always come away with more than I started with. So it's a win-win. That's why we call it a building session, because when people come together, you leave with more than you came with.
Fritz, hey, in these last 3 minutes, man, how do y'all feel about numbers, bro?
Numbers
go on forever.
No, they have like there's like numbers that have like significance. I think it's more advanced.
Yeah.
And then like in recent years, like Jehovah's Witnesses have like put less emphasis on it, because I think a lot of people get confused and a lot of people get like they'll hold on to like an idea or they'll hold on to like a belief system with the numbers that they're right and everybody's wrong, and then you don't throw out the whole religion because you disagree on what the number 7 means.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think it's less as a focus.
Though, Fritz.
I know, but it's less as a focus. Like I would say for Jehovah's Witnesses, when I grew up in the 80s, we would teach people so much about the Bible before they became a Jehovah's Witness. It was ridiculous. And you don't really need to teach everybody all that. That's stuff that you learn over time. When you get older, you get deep study, you can learn a lot of that stuff. You know what I mean? But if you got the basics and you know what's right and what's wrong and what path you should be going on, that's enough to start.
That's the thing. The Bible is a blueprint on how to live. It's not about how much you should know.
Yeah.
Right. You gain experience as you learn how to live.
Yeah. And at first you gotta learn how to, let me know the basics. Like, what does God not like? What am I doing that God might not like? What am I not doing that God wants me to do? And that's like the main thing at first. And then you can get to advanced, like really advanced stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff like
then
you can get some really advanced stuff. But a lot of time people are getting to the advanced stuff before they get into the basics. And it's like, yo, you just need to learn just worry about the simple stuff first.
And then they stop coming to church.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they stop coming to church, and then you find out they have a beef with somebody. But yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? People, hey, what? Excuse me, Wise. You and I were on a panel when we were talking about stuff like, like I mentioned point of reference to somebody. We were on a panel. It was like 9 of us, and everybody was like, "Yo, man, but nah, I want to get straight to it." Like, bro, if you don't have a point of reference, if you don't know who you are, none of that other stuff matter.
It don't matter, man.
You want to know all of it. You remember when I told you when I was talking to you about once you add Kool-Aid and sugar to water, it's no longer water.
It ain't water no more.
Yeah, it's Kool-Aid. Yeah, Fritz. Anyway, man, that's what. Yeah. And Seventh-day Adventists, I'm looking at y'all.
I've literally like, because we go door to door, we run into everybody.
See, my thing is always
you got to be able to.
The best way to teach Fritz is to find, like, you got to be able to talk to people and find out what we have in common. Let's not always talk
Mhm.
about what our differences are. Let's talk about the things we both need and how we could achieve
Mhm.
those things. And from that, we'll see what other people around us need and be able to help them figure out how we could get that. And that's how it starts. That's how it grows. Like, no matter what
Mhm.
the denomination, I mean, it's about like-mindedness and common goals. Like, your
Yeah.
ideology could be whatever you want it to be. But if they come around, we both from Brooklyn or whatever, if they come over here and start going crazy, we gonna have to strap up and get outside. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it ain't about what you believe in, it's about where we at and what we gonna do, how we gonna come up with solutions to push things forward. So that's where I stand on the difference with my culturalism as opposing religion, because I don't feel we need to wait.
Well,
I feel,
religion is a man-made construct. Religion
I
is
mean,
how
I
you do it.
I know you keep saying that, and I know why you say that. So I mean, I'm not really talking to you.
All right. Okay. Okay.
I want you to know I'm not really talking to you, but at the same time, I'm just saying, just to differentiate. I think that religion most of the time it divides us more than brings us together. So I feel like,
Honestly,
regardless to
I believe
religion,
you're right.
and I think that
I believe you're right.
I think a lot of times I don't care what Fritz believes in. Like, as
Mhm.
long as when me and Fritz is able to come together and communicate and get things done when it's time to get it done, that's the main thing that matter. And in the process of that, if I'm able to show him something that he could take with him and use to his benefit, I don't have no problem with doing that, and vice versa. Because I don't got no problem with taking some stuff that y'all gave me and running with it if I know that it's good. You know what I'm saying? I take the best part of everybody and I try to incorporate it into myself, because the things that I get from people is what people choose to give me. Because I
Right.
could see them and they could see me. I can't see myself and they can't see themselves. So when we honest with each other, we make a
Well,
fair
let
exchange.
me do this real quick. Thank y'all everybody for rocking. I gotta cut it off right here because if I don't, the AI won't do. But hey, man, y'all like conversations like this? Come back to Vibes and Stuff. If that's still the name next week, we'll holler at y'all later. Peace, y'all.